Okay, now that I have my document set up, I need to figure out how I'm going to get my photos on here, and they have to be all equally spaced apart. And I want 1/4 of an inch in between each one of them. So that's where our ruler comes in handy, because I'm going to use that as a measurement tool. And I can actually drag guidelines down from the top and also from the sides to make guidelines for this picture, and so I know exactly where I'm going to be placing all of my photos. So number one, I want to, first of all, if I can't even see the ruler, that's Command R. Will toggle your ruler in and out. And probably you guys, excuse me, might have your toolbar set up here. You can actually take these and this is really where they belong. You can sort of store them. If you stick them right above everything, they'll sort of snap into place right up above there. Okay. So now I want to do Command plus, because I want to be able to see my 1/8 and 1/16. So I'm going to actually hit it twice, which should make my ruler, this is probably as close to real inches as you're going to get here. So I'm going to drag some guidelines down. First I'm going to do the sides. So I want 1/4 of an inch away from the edge is where I'm going to start placing my photo. So if I drag over here to the ruler and just leave my move tool in there, if I left click on my ruler and I just start dragging and holding that left click button down, it'll drag this line out. And I want to drop it off with 1/4 of an inch. So here's a 1/2 inch between there, and 1/2 of a 1/2 is 1/4. If I accidentally get it in the wrong spot, I just want to pick it up and drag it back to where the 1/4 of an inch is. And if I look in here really carefully, I'm a little bit off. So you want to try to get it as close to that mark as you can. So now I'm 1/4 of an inch in. So the edge of my photo will lay here, and I want the other edge to be 5 inches from that, because the pictures are going to be 5 inches. So I'm going to go from 1/4 to 5 1/4 should be, this is a 5-inch space in here now. Okay, and then I want 1/4 of an inch in between this photo and the next photo. So I'm going to go back to my ruler and drag and go and drop this one off at 5 1/2, because 1/4 plus another 1/4 brings you to a 1/2, right? Isn't that correct? 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 1/2. Okay, so I'm going to drag another one. So for 5 1/2, another 5 inches from that would be 10 1/2. And if you notice, when I drop this off at the 10 1/2 inch mark, I end up with 1/4 of an inch left over, which is exactly what I wanted. So if I back out, this is a 5-inch space in here, and that's a 5-inch space in there, and I've got equal amounts of space left over. Now I need to do the same thing from the top and the bottom. There's a couple more lines that I'm going to bring in. I'm actually going to, you can use these lines to scroll, because I want to be able to see this real close to this edge over here. Now I'm going to drag from the top and come down at 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to use pretty much the same measurements as I used before. Here's a 1/2, so here's 1/4. And then I know that I've done it right if these spots look like they're all square. Okay, so again, 5 inches, so I'm going to go to 5 1/4, right about there. And then I want the next picture to be 1/4 of an inch away from that, so 5 1/2. Okay, and there I can see my little squares in there. You know what? This one is slightly off. So really be looking at your ruler. If you need to get in even closer, go ahead and do it, and then you can really see if you're in the correct spot. There we go. All right, so 5 inches from 5 1/2 would be 10 1/2. Your numbers kind of get funky over here when you get to double digits. It's 10, but it's stacked on top of each other. So, oops, sorry, 10 1/2, I said. And then my last one would come down at well, I could really leave this as my text box in the, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to bring down 10 3/4. And then my last one is going to be 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. So I just want to sort of look up at my, this is 12, and I want to go back 1/4 of an inch. So this is going to be the space that I'm going to be typing in. You're not typing much. You're just giving it a title and a very brief statement. So that should really be more than enough room. And if I look, then this should be what my document looks like at the time, for the time being. I would suggest that you do a file save as it is right now. It already has your name on it. And all you have to do, you don't have to do save as, you've already named it once, so now it's going to save these changes.